Assalamu alaikum all. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite books ever, which is David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me. And I'm talking about the lessons that I took from this book and how I used them in my life. For those that don't know, David Goggins is like someone that suffered a lot of abuse and racism and learning difficulties. And he kind of turned his life around and kind of did 3 hell weeks in the Navy SEALs, also did ranger training and kind of runs ultra marathons like all the time now. So yeah, just wanted to kind of talk about the lessons from this and let's get into it. Welcome. On this channel, I share my journey learning about productivity, learning languages, and staying healthy as a Muslim. So this is one of my favorite books ever. Can't Hurt Me. He also did another one, Never Finished, which is amazing as well. But I always say start with this one. This one's the one that kind of really got me into David Goggins, his mindset and his lessons and things like that. One thing is that the book does have cursing, so there is a clean version as well. So I've kind of linked that in my description. So yeah, feel free to kick that. Now, initially, I didn't think this book would appeal to me. It's like someone like, from the army and all this sort of stuff. And I thought it'd be someone like, it's very kind of like shouty and things like that. But that is not the case at all. I absolutely love this book. Who is David Goggins? Was one of the main things is that when he was a child, he suffered a lot of sort of violent abuse, learning difficulties, racism, and things like that. And then he sort of gained a lot of weight. He had a job as like a pest control sort of person. And I think like he was watching Navy SEALs program on TV. And then, I don't know, something switched in his mind and he decided to try and join the Navy SEALs. And he got rejected many times. Like people thought, yeah, there's no way this guy can join the Navy SEALs and things like that. But there's one recruiter that actually gave him a chance, but he had to hit some really tough deadlines, which was one to lose a lot of weight. He had to pass this exam as well. I think it's called the AFAB, something like that. And he just totally changed his life around. He just kind of really focused on he was cycling, he was running, he was doing everything just to get rid of that weight, and he was like studying super hard to do that exam. One of the things is like he says that he's not special, like everyone can do this, and this is what I love about his message as well. And sometimes we look at David Goggins and think, oh no, he's just someone that's just like super special, only he can do this sort of stuff. But yeah, then he went on to join the Navy SEALs. He ended up doing Hell Week 3 times for various reasons. He had to kind of drop out of the training and things like that. And yeah, I love the detail about Hell Week, all the stuff they had to do, everything had to do. So if you love like training and military training and all the things that happen and how people would deal with that, I mean, this is another reason why I absolutely love this book, like just the detail he goes into and the things he had to do is just like amazing. And now like he's kind of moved on, he does like ultra marathons and like he's done marathon like 240 miles like in one go, so that is like amazing. He spoke about doing the pull-ups world record in 24 hours. Can't remember how many thousands of pull-ups that was, which kind of blows my mind. Now this leads on to the first lesson, which is like callous your mind. So this is the first lesson that I really love from the book, one of the most important lessons. And that is that when you do things that are a bit more difficult, that you kind of like get used to it as well and you make yourself tougher. So what I used to do was kind of avoid a lot of hard and difficult things. I think, oh gosh, I can't do that. But when you actually kind of lean into it and actually try doing that difficult thing or that complex thing, actually, makes you stronger. You callous your mind. And this callous your mind kind of comes from the idea of doing pull-ups. When you do pull-ups and you keep doing loads and loads of them, the skin on your hand, so around here, kind of gets really hard, and you don't feel the pain anymore when you're holding the pull up. So he's kind of using that analogy to explain the mind. When you do these hard, difficult things, it makes you kind of stronger, and you're able to kind of do those things more and more often. This leads me to a great quote from Bruce Lee, which is like, you'd rather be a warrior in the garden rather than a gardener in the wall. So you have these skills in case you do need them. And this kind of repetition just kind of makes things easier with time. And also it feels amazing when you've done something a bit hard or difficult. Like at the moment I'm doing kind of cold showers, which, I thought, oh my gosh, how on earth am I going to do that? But the more I'm doing it, I don't know, my mind's kind of getting used to it. I'm getting used to it. And, I keep building up that evidence. Yeah, I can do this. And it kind of makes it more easier for me to do. And one thing I'm learning about is there is actually some brain science behind all of this, and it's all to do with neuroplasticity. Your brain develops connections and things like that. So when you're doing things that are, you're not used to doing, or things that are new, you need to keep doing it to build those connections, and then it makes it kind of easier. But always start small. Don't go full on like Navy SEALs training and then expect to like suddenly everything to be fine. Start small and keep kind of building up and callousing that mind. The next lesson I want to talk about is accountability mirror, which I absolutely love. So this is something I've been sort of doing on and off. I don't think I was doing it quite properly, but now I've got a really good system. And this is just about having your goals on the mirror or something that you look at every day, just to kind of give you that motivation, give you that focus, give you that vision of what you're going to be doing. Kind of leads on to another thing he talks about, which is kind of visualizing success, visualizing what things will look like, visualizing your day, just a lot of visualization. And honestly, it does help a lot. It's something I'm trying to get better and better at doing. Instead of an accountability mirror, I'm actually kind of using a vision board instead. I find that kind of works really well for me. So yeah, definitely whichever way you do it, just having that visible, I kind of look at it pretty much throughout the day. So I usually see it in the morning, you see it last thing at night, and then my brain's kind of working, trying to figure things out. Now, the next lesson, which is super popular, is a 40% rule. And that's like whenever you think you've kind of done enough, you've probably only done 40%. Like your main brain will kind of tell you to stop at about 40% because it has this sort of protection mechanism. Really, you could go much more than that. And the good way to kind of work on this is like, if you're doing a run, if you're jogging, you think, oh gosh, I can't do it anymore. And then, let me look at that tree. Let me just do that little bit more to that tree. Then once you've done that tree, let me just go to the corner. Once you've done the corner, let me just run to that car and like just kind of just pushing yourself a little bit like that, and you find that, oh, actually at the end of it, oh, I was able to do a lot more than I actually thought. So the mind can kind of inhibit you. And yeah, that's definitely something that's happened to me as well. Like, especially with learning languages, I thought, oh my gosh, how am I going to learn French, Arabic and stuff like that? But I do feel like now that I'm kind of learning it, like bits are kind of just starting to sink in, and I just kind of just need to push myself just a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Another lesson he talks about is taking souls. So this is like really interesting, really like cool idea he talks about, which was like when he was doing Navy SEALs training, you had these officers that were like, that were sort of running the training. They were really trying to break him down, break his soul, trying to like, they're doing everything they can to, really push you and push you and push you. And the ones that quit, then, the training was like just too tough, because like in the real life situation, it's going to be really, really tough. So they really push you hard in the training. And what he sort of changed his mindset around was like, rather than them taking, breaking my soul, I'm going to take their soul. So basically saying that I'm going to work so much that I'm not going to let them kind of affect me. So like when I had to lift these boats, he kept lifting them, lifting them when most other people were like really struggling. He just kind of had this mentality of that, no, I'm not going to let them think that I'm weak and that I can't do this. I'm going to do this better than they expect. So that's like a fantastic like sort of thing to think about as well. And another lesson that I love is stock your cookie jar. So whenever you're finding something difficult is that like it builds up evidence, build up things that you've done. So for example, I've been doing cold showers for a while now. That's kind of given me that belief, you know what, actually I can do this hard thing that's coming up, or I can do this run, I can do this like extra set of press ups or whatever, because I've done all this other stuff. So like the more stuff you do, the more evidence you build up, you can kind of like then try and recall that and recall something that you've done. So for example, I've done the cold shower, or I've gone on a long run or something like that, and then kind of use that as to help you get through the tricky bit that you're going through at the moment. So I absolutely love this cookie jar idea. Now, a fantastic lesson is the empowerment of failure. So this is when you look at your failures and kind of decide what to do with them. I know a lot of people have got that fear of failure. I definitely have. And I think this kind of really helps. Like, when there is failure, is to then kind of analyze it and decide what went well, what didn't go well. And yeah, and the things to kind of think about are, so the things you want to do when you're analyzing failure is you look at what went well, how did it deal with failure, did it affect your relationships, did you do everything you could, and then you look at what you could change next time you did this. And something they have in the military is like an after action report, or AAR. So you kind of just stop and reflect. And that's a good thing to do whenever you're working on something. And I think journaling is one of the best ways to do this. So I'm kind of trying to journal every day, and I definitely feel like it helps me analyze what's going on. The next lesson I absolutely love is this time management lesson, which is just kind of like, everyone has time. You just need to take an inventory of your day or your week. One of the things that I used to do was waste a lot of time with social media and like Instagram and TikTok and things like that, especially late at night. Instead of going to sleep, I'd end up staying on these kind of apps. And so I've installed another app now called Opel, which kind of blocks all that stuff for me. It's all kind of set, it's all scheduled, so I don't have to think about it. So whenever I try and hit one of those apps, it just kind of blocks it. But it has this really nice option that if I do need it in an emergency, or well, not emergency, or if I need to really, really do something, then I can always access it just briefly. But I absolutely love that. It's been a game changer for me, because it stops me just going on and on and on in YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that when I should really be going to sleep. Yeah, if you've enjoyed this, please check out my other video where I talk about this great book by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is called Be Useful.